Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Maroon Devil Coaches Show. Coach Sherman Holt ready for Robbinsville. Our Maroon Devil fans and players are ready for Robbinsville. But, Coach, hey, let's go back and look at last week. Great win down at Bessemer City. Our Maroon Devils, I think, just were, again, just like with Avery County, really came out of the gate hard and fast. And I'm not sure Bessemer City ever recovered the way we started out that football game and again, played just an entire game.
Yeah, we started real fast offensively, scored on the second play of the game. And, our challenge to our kids all week was how are we going to adjust or, match their overall team speed, because we felt like they were very athletic, had some kids that could run, and I feel like our kids played very well. We were very physical. We had a couple penalties here and there that we'd like to clean up, but for the most part played a pretty clean game.
Right.
Didn't have too many mistakes, and so it's always good when you get into the playoffs and you play pretty good football and you don't have to really you go back and you turn on the tape and be like, oh my gosh, got to fix a bunch of things, but played real good. Proud of our kids' effort, proud of the way that we were very physical up front on both sides, and defensively we got after the quarterback pretty good.
We did.
And it was just an overall team effort. Got a lot of kids in and seen a lot of kids play, and so that's always good.
Yeah. Coach, one thing that really impressed me in the first half, and my numbers may be wrong, but I think we had three situations where Bessemer City had it third down and long, and you could just see, and you've heard this all your life as our fans have, our defensive linemen really did just kind of pin their ears back, and every time in that third and long, they went in there and sacked the quarterback for an even bigger loss. So that says a lot about our defense and the way we got after their quarterback.
Yeah, it's a testament to those guys that play up front for us. Grady Lewis, N.C. Ufert, L.D. LaQuire, Nolan Fisher played some, Drew Skaggs played some on that side of the ball, and so it was just a good night for them because they really got after it. And that was our challenge was, can you three guys get after the quarterback and give some pressure to him so we could drop back and play coverage and maybe not have to blitz as much. And so hats off to those guys up front. Coach McCarthy, our D-line coach, does a real good job getting those guys ready to play, and that's a pretty talented group.
Oh, yeah.
And, we're fortunate to have those three and then those other two or three that kind of rest them some, but they did a real good job getting after the quarterback Friday night.
Yeah, they really did. Now, Coach, I know our Maroon Devils are fans. As a matter of fact, we had more fans there, I think, at Bessemer City than they did in that second-round playoff game. But our fans are now getting ready to take a shorter road trip to Robbinsville. Before we talk about them, let's thank some folks who I'm sure has made your week better, and I know we appreciate the folks who have gotten us this far.
Yeah, our cafeteria staff every week, they do a good job of helping feed our kids after school. And, they are just tremendous in the support and how much they care about our kids. So we want to thank them. And then, in the playoffs, it kind of changes a little bit. Most of the time, our parents, mostly our team moms and stuff, they fix good home-cooked meals for these boys after practice. The time change, it's starting to get darker early, and so maybe a little cooler at the end of practice. And so coming into the field house and getting to eat a home-cooked meal is real nice. And so our parents have done a real good job of that. And, again, our churches, we're getting our pregame meal provided by our local church. And so it's just a total community effort. And, these people, they care about these kids, and they care about them getting took care of and, getting treated well. And so we just can't thank our whole community enough for the support that they give our kids.
Yeah. Now, Coach, before we get into Robbinsville, we realize, of course, that we have some friends over in Graham County who might be watching this if it gets played before the ball game, so we can't say a whole lot about these top secret changes that we're getting ready for on Friday night. And I say that tongue in cheek because if two teams know each other, it's probably our Maroon Devils and those Robbinsville Black Knights. We played such a just almost a dead even game last time. We saw some great individual efforts. So I don't think there are a lot of secrets out there about playing this football game again, is it?
No, I talked to Coach Walsh earlier in the week, and we made the joke that our two football teams are probably the most alike two football teams in the state.
Yeah.
You know, very similar as far as like what we like to do on offense. You know, of course, run the football and establish that, and you know, be physical in the trenches and play, you know, relentless, stingy on defense. And I think if you you know, looked at the films on both teams, very similar in that regard. And so, you know, it's like I told our kids all week, you know, it's going to come down to, you know, who can maybe get a little momentum at certain times of the game, or who can, you know, eliminate a mistake or be mistake-free on a drive, or, you know, play as disciplined as you can play. You know, the team, I think it makes the fewest amount of mistakes and can get after the other team maybe just a little better, or maybe make them make a mistake, is probably the team that's going to win. And so, you know, our kids have been dialed in this week. They've really worked hard. You know, we hadn't, you know, like you said, we hadn't like threw the kitchen sink out and brought something in, you know, just because 2 weeks ago we lost. It was just a thing that we could say, all right, we're not where we want to be. Let's continue to get better.
Right.
And, you know, I think you know, if you ask Coach Walsh what they're doing this week, I think they're doing the same thing. Sure. You know, and at this stage in the playoffs, it's everybody's real good. You know, everybody's got quality football teams, and so it's one of those things where you just got to try to develop an edge, whether it be with a mentality that you play with, or, you know, you might have something that you didn't do the last time you do this time, maybe. You know, we played so late in the regular season. You know, the last week we kind of had figured out identities of our teams, you know, and I'm saying that for Coach Walsh. You know, normally week 10, you know who you are, you know what you're good at, you know where you got to execute, and I think that's probably why you won't see a whole lot of different stuff. You know, if I had to guess from them, you know, we just want to continue to get better, and we want to execute at a high level, and that's kind of been our whole plan throughout the years, just play sound, fundamental, physical football, and let's just see what happens.
Yeah. And, Coach, when you come down to it, when you have two teams that are 11-1, there's not a whole lot you want to change because you've been very successful. Now, one thing I looked at that I really didn't pay much attention to the first time we played was how good the secondaries are for both teams. I looked at some of the stats. Robbinsville, 19 interceptions. Our Maroon Devils, 11 interceptions. So obviously, both teams are blessed. You know, everybody talks about the running game and the good guys up front, and that's true. They really are good. But man, those secondaries are real ball hawks, and man, they're tough back there, aren't they?
Yeah, you know, it's part of that is there's quite a few kids that are very athletic.
Yeah.
You know, in both secondaries, and you know, you look at their 3 or 4 guys and our 3 or 4 guys that play in the back end, very good football players. You know, and so that's part of it. You know, and you throw those stats out, and the crazy thing is we probably played similar type opponents, and to have that many interceptions versus people that sometimes don't throw the ball a whole lot, you know, and get that many interceptions, you know. And in our last game, you know, we had a pick six, they had a pick six, and so it was just, that's part of the game, you know, and it's just, it made for a really good football game. Very big defensive struggle, I think, for both teams. It's the challenge this week's probably, guys, can we go score some points and you know, take a little pressure off our defense, you know. And I don't know. I mean, you watch film, and I think myself and Coach Walsh, we probably look at it and say, you know, it's going to be another tough struggle, and you know, whoever can score some points probably going to have a little advantage, just because both these defenses are really, really good. I mean, they got some really good football players on that side. I mean, you look at all 3 levels, you know, there's kids that they just play hard, they fly around. You know, we got kids that play hard and fly around, and so again, it makes, that's why there's so much excitement. You know, we've tried to tell our kids, you know, let's focus on what we can control. We don't care if there's one person there or 15,000 people. It don't matter to us because we can't control that stuff. And so, a lot of anticipation, a lot of people, as soon as we got done playing on both sides, we're like, hey, we'll see you in 2 weeks. And that's kind of what the handshake line was, a couple weeks ago. And, and so it's just an exciting time. It's why we do it. You want to play in these big-time football games. If you're a player, if you're a coach, you want to coach in them. And so it's just one of those things where we're excited about just having an opportunity to go play again and, have an opportunity to play next week, and that's our challenge, is who's going to be practicing on Monday.
There you go. Thanksgiving coming up, and it's always been kind of a tradition here, and I'm sure Robbinsville feels the same way. Hey, we want to be practicing on Thanksgiving Day. And, Coach, one thing we've got to tell our fans, you better be there early because we got there last time. And, man, there was, number one, no seats in the stadium, and there wasn't even a place to stand around the fence. That place was just wall-to-wall people, so you better get there early. Might want to bring a little rain gear in case there's a shower or a little bit of rain floating around, but that place is going to be packed, and that electricity is going to be all over that place.
Yeah, and I think that's a plus for both teams, and if you think about high school football, two teams that are 11-1, really good football teams, two communities that really care about, how their football teams do and how far they go in the playoffs, and, two programs that have a lot of tradition.
Yes.
And what better, in my opinion, what better atmosphere than at Big Oaks, for a third-round game with two teams that have went after it already, and get to go at it again. And I just think if you're a fan and you don't have ties to either school, I'd probably come to this one because that's just me looking at the records and the kids that are playing, and I know kids are excited about it. I mean, I think on both sides you got to look at it. A lot of good football players that they want to continue to play just like we do, and so it's got a lot of pressure and a lot of riding on it. But at the end of the day, I've told our kids, it's football. It's not changed. We got to block, we got to tackle, we got to run, we got to catch, we got to do all those types of things and execute a high level. And it's just glad we get an opportunity to do it again. And I have a lot of respect for Coach Walsh and his staff, and they do a real good job. And it's going to be a challenge, but our kids have done real well this week getting prepared. And again, it's like you said, when you know so much about them, and they're the same way, they know a lot about us. It's not necessarily what are we going to do different. It's can we do what we do at a higher level of efficiency, because again, you played them 2 weeks ago, and there's not a whole lot that can change in that time, but you can get some things fixed and corrected and tweak some things, but just got to go play a good football game.
Oh, no doubt. Fans, what else can we say? Swain versus Robbinsville, so much tradition, so many state championships between the two programs, and it's all part of the excellence that the Smoky Mountain Conference throws out there every Friday night. Enough said.